I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Village Board meeting Tuesday, February 11th. If we'll stand, we'll have Trustee Costa lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee DeVivo?
Present.
Trustee Pujanis?
Present.
Trustee Sabo?
Present.
Trustee Suisse?
Present.
Trustee Yukich? Mayor Daley?
Present. Okay, are there any amendments to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the minutes of November 26, 2013 meeting?
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa,
Second.
second by Trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. The next portion of this meeting is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. I'll start it out. At the end of January, the District 33C Board of Education hired Dr. Kara Conjalianis, I think that's the way you pronounce it, as the district's new superintendent. Dr. Conjalianis will replace Superintendent J. Michael Morrow, who is retiring at the end of the 2013-2014 school year. I've sent a congratulatory letter and invitation to meet with the new superintendent, and I look forward to continuing the village and schools district's outstanding relationship. Under early voting, election time is right around the corner. Early voting will be occurring in the boardroom from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Monday, March 3rd through Friday, March 7th, and Monday, March 10th through Friday, March 14th. Additionally, the village will host a polling place in the boardroom from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the primary election on Tuesday, March 18th. Here's an update on the RFQ for the architectural services for the new Village Hall. Last week, Village Manager Davis led a tour through the village-owned Woodbine Clubhouse and Banquet Facility for all of the architects interested in viewing the building. There were 20 individuals that took the tour. Approximately 25 questions were submitted by RFQ respondents, to which Village Manager Davis has replied. The next step in the RFQ process is the submission of the RFQ by interested architectural firms. I know all our elected officials and staff are touring the Woodbine property in preparation of providing the selected architectural firm with the board and staff's outstanding feedback. Under Homer Glen, spine surgeon wins Illinois Humanitarian Award. Congratulations goes out to Homer Glen spine surgeon, Dr. Anthony Ranella, for being presented with the 2014 University of Illinois Alumni Humanitarian Award. Dr. Ranella has been traveling to Columbia since 2004 to perform surgeries on individuals with spinal deformities through a non-for-profit called Spine Hope. In May of 2013, Dr. Ranella founded Global Spine Outreach, which takes a team of volunteers to Columbia in Poland on an annual basis. Doctor has done tremendous work to help others, and his volunteers' contributions are rightfully being acknowledged. And then finally, under the upcoming McDonald's renovation. McDonald's Corp will be before the Plan Commission on March 3rd. I'm excited that our Homer Glen McDonald's is moving forward with a complete interior and exterior renovation of the Bell site. At the Plan Commission, McDonald's will be seeking a final PUD approval with a special use for a drive-through, special use for hours of operation, and a variance from the village's outdoor lighting ordinance. McDonald's has been a longtime business partner in the village of Homer Glen. I met with the owner of our McDonald's this past week to thank him for the upcoming investment he intends to make in Homer Glen's Bell Road site. The improvement is just another important example of existing Homer Glen businesses investing in our outstanding community. One final note on the McDonald's renovation. They're moving from a land lease to ownership, so McDonald's now will own that property as part of this. Okay, that concludes the mayor's report. Let's start out with the trustees. Mike Costa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to report for the Fest Committee. This year's Homer Community Fest is scheduled for Thursday, June 26th through the 29th, 151st Street and Cream. This year, fireworks are scheduled once again for Thursday night, with the rain date to be on Friday. All Around Amusement will be our carnival company once again, and the committee is now negotiating with a number of bands. Once we get the contracts all signed, we'll be announcing which bands will be what night. Again, the parade will be on Saturday, the 28th. Starts at 11 o'clock, starts at 151st Street and Parker, runs north on Parker to Briarwood Drive, which is just north of Culver Park. The parade usually lasts about an hour. If you know an organization that would like to enter into the parade, or group of families or friends, contact the township office, and once the applications come out, they'll take your name and get into the parade. Lineup will begin at just about the same time. We've had the parade a number of years. It'll be an early lineup. Immediately after the parade, then the fest that day, the carnival starts right after that. So hopefully you can make the parade with a lot of family and friends, get right over to carnival and spend the rest of the day there. Also, we're always looking for volunteers. It's a great time for our high school kids that need community service. It's a 4-day event. They are adult supervised. Once again, please call the village or the township administration building, put your name in, and get some volunteer hours. Mr. Mayor, that is my report.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. Trustee Sabo?
Yes, my report is on behalf of the Environment Committee, and the first item is the tree inventory and the Emerald Ash Borer grant. The Environment Committee's tree subcommittee met on Monday, February 10th. On February 14th, they will be meeting again, but this time with Mark Donovan regarding the Homer Glen tree ordinance for review, discussion, and updating as part of the Emerald Ash Borer grant. Next topic is the Earth Day Arbor Day in 2014. The Environment Committee is looking for volunteers to assist during the day of the Earth Day Arbor Day event on May 17th. That's a Saturday, between the hours of 11 and 4. Sponsors play an important role in the ability to provide a variety of activities and new ones to add to 2014. We are encouraging individuals, businesses, and corporations to provide donations. Last year's sponsors were Waste Management, Cornell Corn Maze, Willowbrook Ford, Nicor Gas, Kids Workshop, Muir and Sons Plumbing and Heating, Once Upon a Child, Friends, Apple Chevrolet, Christine Shower, Brett Marr Landscape Management Group, David Pyle, Green E, Tierling Nursery, and Woodbine Golf Course. The applications for participants are on the Earth Day Arbor Day 2014, Arbor Day 2014 are on the website under www.earthdayarborday.info, and there is a link on the Homer Glen website also to this site. We are looking forward to returning participants and encourage new entries from the Homer Glen community to represent local participation, and I bet there are a number of people in this room that would qualify and should apply. The next meeting of the Environment Committee is March 4th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee K. Janis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You mentioned meeting with McDonald's. I met with you as well on this past Friday. Met with the owner-operator. I am encouraged by meeting with him and the McDonald's corporate staff. One thing that we have to understand, the owner-operator is a family man who runs a family business, and his family works inside his business, contributing to Homer Glen through charity involvement and jobs. It was very encouraging to talk to the owner-operator on his excitement with the opportunity to make a commitment to Homer Glen for the long term. So I look forward to his petition coming forward for his plans to revitalize his business. Again, I thank him for all that he's done in the past for our community. Also, over the last few weeks, I met with Trustee Yukich regarding the liquor ordinances and liquor licenses. I'm very encouraged by our conversation. We are going to have a meeting coming up very soon, and hopefully we could be ready at that point in time to present something as a recommendation to our committee, to our board and our committees. My main stay on this is, through my conversation, is I'm not looking to overregulate or create more barriers for development, but to enhance the opportunities for all to come in our community, as well as our existing residents and businesses to flourish. Coming up also, I'd like to report Taz's Restaurant, one of our very own, on February 14th, St. Valentine's Day. They're going to be hosting a dinner party. Anyone interested, please call Taz's directly and make reservations for their party. Also, one of our very own restaurants, Pelican Harry's, is getting ready for St. Baldrick's Day on March 29th. Fundraising for kids with disabilities and illnesses, a fundraiser. So anyone interested in participating in this event, please contact Pelican Harry's, either John or Jim over there. And they've done a great job over the last, this would be the third year, fantastic cause. They do a great job as well. So that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee K. Janice. Trustee Suisse?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reporting for the Homer Harvest Days Committee. For 2014, our meetings will now be conducted on the second Wednesday of the month in the township offices on 151st Street. We are looking for another volunteer for the committee, so if anyone is interested in, please attend one of our meetings, with the next one being held tomorrow, February 12th. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Suisse. Trustee DeVivo?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing to report. On your agenda is legislation and action item, H6, and this is for consideration for HR Green Engineering Services for the Phase 2 study of the south extension of the Heroes Trail. So if anyone has any questions on that, I'm here to answer them, and so is Mike Salamowitz. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee DeVivo. That concludes trustee reports. Is there a treasurer's report?
Mayor, there's no treasurer's report this evening.
Okay, is there a clerk's report?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
How about the village attorney?
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
How about any task force chairpersons? How about public safety officials? And the village manager?
Mayor, very briefly, staff, along with the Township Highway Commissioner, is beginning our process of planning the 2014 Long Run Creek cleanup program. So we're going to be having our second or third meeting coming up over the next couple weeks. So if any of the trustees have any suggestions related to that program, please forward them to me, and I'll represent those at the meeting. Also, starting today, we began the neighborhood street lighting replacement program project that the board approved several months back. As the board would remember, we hired a contractor to begin the next phase of this project. Various fixtures on streetlights around the community will be replaced over the next 3 weeks, approximately 3 weeks. And the result of this these light fixtures are actually more energy efficient, and the intensity of the light on the ground will improve. So people will notice more lighting on the ground from these new fixtures. So if you have any questions about those, you can certainly see me or see Mike Salamovich. We'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. The next portion of this meeting is public comment. I know some people are here to speak about the Trinity business. So the public knows almost everybody on this board was at the Plan Commission meeting and heard many of you speak. We also have met with the Trinity people. Most every trustee has gone through the Trinity homes, so we're very much in touch with what's going on. So we'll get on with the public comment then. Art? What's the last name again?
Dykstra.
Dykstra. Go ahead, Art. Name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Art Dykstra, and I live at 211 Elm Street in Olenex, Illinois. And I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor and trustees, for giving me the opportunity to share a few comments this evening. As you probably know, that Trinity has been supporting people with disabilities in this community and others for over 64 years. And I've been honored to be the CEO of Trinity for the last 27 years. Sometimes I like to tell people I was not the founder. There's sometimes a concern, I guess, about what goes on. But I'm not really going to talk about Trinity tonight because you can look at the website and you can talk to some of our staff. But I want to talk a little bit specifically about this home and put it in a little bit of a context. And afterwards, I've asked Lisa Dillon, who's one of our program directors, to speak briefly to just sort of share with people what a typical day might look like for a person with disabilities living in a group home such as we're talking about this evening. This home represents Trinity's response to support families who wanted their children to be able to live in their home community. We have done this in many other communities as well. And I have talked with staff and I have looked at minutes. And I appreciate the concerns that many individuals have expressed during the public hearing that recently occurred. And I know that if you're not familiar in dealing with a person or living with a person with an intellectual disability, this is a new experience for you. For some people, it can be frightening. But one thing I also know is that when we're not knowledgeable about something, sometimes we guess, and sometimes we guess wrong. In terms of the specific home that we're speaking about this evening, I have personally been involved from the very beginning. And I have met each one of these young men myself, and I would say I would be proud to live next with them. They are good, charming fellows with senses of humor, and they just are going to be wonderful neighbors and good fellow citizens. I also know this is an elegant home. It'll probably be the nicest home owned by Trinity. You, the people who are here tonight who are questioning this, are proud of your neighborhood. You've been blessed with the houses and the homes that you have. And just as you are proud of those homes, we want to be proud with you. This is not a home we could typically purchase. I'm sure some of you have asked the question, where did Trinity get the money to do that? We're a nonprofit organization. Most of our funding comes through the state to support this. We were able to do this because of the generosity of the families who were involved. And they are the ones who came to us and said, we would like to have, in this particular instance, our sons living in our home community near this. And I want to say this, I would be glad to meet with anybody. I will be glad to give, especially the neighbors who live on either side or people across the street, my home phone number. You can call me at any time. My wife answers the phone, asks for Art. I don't anticipate difficulties, but I want to know I'm willing to come and meet with you and your families in your home if you'll invite me, and be glad to answer your questions. So what I'd like to do in closing, because I know my time is brief, I'd sort of like to share a thought that doesn't always occur to us. But this is what I'd like to say to you this evening. And I know this statistically, if I just look around this room and see maybe there's 100 people here. Know this, each one of us is just one step from being disabled ourselves. I can predict statistically that someone in this room in the next few years will be in an auto accident and become brain impaired. Another person is likely to have short or long-term memory loss. Another may become blind. Another will have a stroke. Another will become unambulatory and need to use a wheelchair. And it's also quite likely that one of you, or one of your children, one of your grandchildren, will give birth to a person with autism, or Down syndrome, or cerebral palsy. And this I know is absolutely true. Whether it's me or it's you, none of us will want to live in a nursing home. All of us will want to live at home. All of us will want to live with our friends and with our neighbors and our families. All of us will want to live in the community, our community. I can say this because I'm older than most of you in this room, I suspect. But this is what I would close and say this to you. When our years on this earth are coming to a close, what will matter most is who we loved and who loved us. And I'd be glad to answer any questions during the evening.
Thank you, Art. Okay, the next speaker would be Lisa Dillon.
My name's Lisa Dillon. I live at 1408 Blue Stem Lane in Minooka, and I have been working with Trinity for 25 years. The last 20 years has been in the residential program. I'd like to take just a few minutes to describe what one could expect in our group homes, and specifically this home with these men. Like you and I, upon waking up, they take care of their personal needs. They might help cook breakfast. They might make a lunch if they didn't prepare it the night before. They may finish up with other chores and responsibilities, like you and I, like make our beds. They might throw in a load of laundry before leaving for their community job. Some of the examples of the jobs in the community would be they may work at a retail store or a restaurant, shopping mall. It's quite possible they would not work 40 hours a week and would attend an adult learning program in New Lenox on the days that they're not working. There they would have the opportunity to explore other volunteer activities in the community. And over the course of the week, they may go to the mall, they may go out to eat like you and I, they may go grocery shopping, which they will. They'll go to church. Other social activities may include going to the YMCA to go swimming or playing basketball. They'll attend functions at the Orland Park Recreational Center. They may go camping, they may go to Great America, they may just spend a day at Navy Pier. Other nights may be more laid back, where they would have time for their hobbies, like setting up a train set, playing their video games, watching their favorite movies, watching their favorite TV shows. With having their own room, they can spend time alone listening to music, reading, going on the internet, or simply just deciding that they want to go to bed early. They would complete other responsibilities throughout the week, like dusting and washing dishes, cooking their meals, making their grocery list, going grocery shopping, just like you and I. On nicer evenings or weekends, they may sit out on the patio and enjoy the quiet surroundings. Other times, they may be playing basketball. They might be playing beanbag games. They might cook out. They'll entertain their family and friends. But just like any other household, there will be disagreements. And like you and I, they will work through and problem solve and come to a mutual understanding. They will have continued support from their families and staff, so they may have the opportunity to live full and abundant lives. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker would be, I believe it's Eileen, Batistic.
Good evening, board members and fellow citizens. I'm Eileen Batistic, otherwise known as Joey's mom. And Joey has Down syndrome, and he's one of the prospective members of this group home in Homer Glen. And I just want to tell you that he's a wonderful young man. He's 26 years old. I wanted him to come here tonight because he's at a basketball game. He's normal like most of us. He has special religious education. He engages in basketball. He's a great bowler. He's going to be in Special Olympic swimming championships in the next 2 weeks. He's a fine citizen, and he also votes, and he volunteers, and he has a job. He works at Payless Health and Fitness because he has an insatiable appetite for laundry, and he does it very well. I've come here tonight to give voice to these young men. And he's been a member of the community 26 years, and we've lived here 41 years, way before Homer Glen was even incorporated. When we brought Joey home after he was born, we were supported by neighbors who welcomed our special child with gifts of acceptance and friendliness. We never experienced any intolerance, any pity, any shameful whisperings. On the contrary, as he grew, and as we grew even busier with raising our family and running a business. Every special occasion, whether sad or happy, we'd be surrounded by a community of loving, caring neighbors. We consider ourselves blessed to live in Homer Glen. Our hope is that you accept our special sons, Joey and Brendan, and 2 more to come into the home, into your neighborhood, and afford them the opportunity to live in peace and dignity among neighbors who respect each other. Many of you might not be aware of federal housing law that protects individuals and families from housing discrimination because of race, ethnic origin, religion, sex, or disability. This means you cannot treat any of these persons differently or prevent them from living where they want. As I look around this room, I surmise that a few of you probably have experienced the sting of discrimination in your attempt to obtain housing in the southwestern suburban neighborhoods. If anyone should understand the housing law, it should be you. To pinpoint adults because they are disabled is a violation of federal law. The agency that handles complaints concerning this law is HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity. Many serious accusations and inferences have been made, some of which may have been in violation of federal law, because your intent is to prevent 4 disabled adults from a chance to live in your neighborhood. I'm sure none of you would want to be in violation of federal law, because some of you probably have experienced the housing discrimination in the past. Having lived in Homer Glen 41 years, or having lived here 1 year, we are all neighbors. It would be ideal if we could act friendly and cordial towards one another. All of us, the village, Trinity Services, the staff, the neighbors, the parents, and the participants themselves have a shared responsibility of encouraging peaceful behavior and harmony in the Crystal Lake community. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker would be Lori McAlevey. Correct me.
Hi, my name is Lori McAlevey. I live at 14906 Cedar Glen in Homer Glen. I have a son, 18, who has autism. I was very happy about this group home when I heard it, and I truly hope you pass it. We need more group homes. Our kids need somewhere to go. Not that we're trying to get rid of them, but they need to live their lives. They need full lives. They need to have lives outside of us. And my son has expressed a desire to live with friends. In friends, I think the definition of family is changing, and single family, multifamily, I suspect a lot of people might have multifamilies in Crystal Lake even. Parents, grandparents, kids moving back home. This is a family. These boys will be a family together, and they'll help each other out, and they'll live like a family. I know there are safety concerns and safety issues, but I suspect also that if there were truly safety issues, they would have been taken care of by the community, because they wouldn't want unsafe conditions for their own family. I also suspect a lot of this might be fear of the unknown. And if I didn't have a son with a disability, maybe I wouldn't know. I don't know how I would react, but I'm almost positive once you get to know these kids, you will welcome them, and I hope you'll welcome them into your community. If you see them on the street, say hello. If they knock on the door to visit or something, don't call the police, welcome them in, like we do. We have neighbors with disabilities. If you see something that maybe is amiss on their property, knock on the door. Maybe they need help, just like we do with our neighbors. I really hope you welcome them in the community and you treat them like any other neighbor. So I'm asking the board to please pass this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker be Dave Freedy.
Mr. Mayor, could you move me to the bottom of the list? Is that possible? My comments are not about this subject.
Okay, that's fine, Dave. Okay, then Ted Winter, I believe.
Good evening. My name is Ted Winter, and my son Brendan is
We need your address for
Oh,
record.
sure, absolutely. It's 859 Brigantine Drive in New Lenox, Illinois. And my son Brendan is the other young man that's going to be moving into the home on Crystal Lake. And Brendan's 23 years old. He has autism. And you know, once you get to know Brendan, he's a terrific young man. Graduated from Lincoln Way Central High School. He works at the Goodwill a couple days a week in New Lenox. He's part of the Lincoln Way Special Rec Association at this time. He participates in a lot of different sporting activities, ranging from bocce ball to bowling to basketball. He's actually going downstate next month for Special Olympics to represent Lincoln Way Special Rec in that game. You know, when Brendan was born, and you know, it wasn't until several years later that we found out that he had autism, and you know, there was nobody in my immediate family that had any type of disability. And so, you know, over the years, it's been a challenge. But one thing I will say is that, you know, my family has been tremendously accepting of Brendan. He's taught us, not only my wife and I and my 18-year-old son, patience, but he's also, you know, showed us, you know, what it means to, you know, have some empathy. So, you know, when we told Brendan about the house here in Homer Glen, he was extremely excited. You know, he continues to ask when he's moving in. You know, he's looking forward to, you know, to moving into the next phase of his life. Unlike, you know, any other 22 or 23-year-old that may be, you know, done with college. You know, they're looking to move on and move on and live an independent life, and that's what we're looking for our boys, and Brendan's aware of that, and he's looking forward to that too. So, as you consider the you know, the permit in front of you, you know, I hope you take all those things into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker would be Ruben Pazmino, maybe? Ruben?
Mine is on the restaurant.
You know, come on up and, you know, say what you'd like to say.
Good evening. My name is Ruben Pazmino, 12050 Graceland Court in Homer Glen. So thank you for having me. Basically, I just want to, I say, any questions you have on the restaurant. I don't know if, is this to speak on the restaurant, what we're going to do, or what is it?
No, it's public comment. It's your opportunity to say whatever you want. You're proposing to be part of this community as a restaurant. If you want to explain just a little bit about your restaurant.
Sure.
Go ahead.
We're going to be a Latin American fusion. Currently, right now, it's more of a bar environment. It's going to be more of a restaurant now. We're going to cater more to Latin American cuisine, fusion, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South American, tropical drinks. More of a family-style restaurant as opposed to the bar that it is now. We are going to have live entertainment, and basically, you know, what I'm asking the village is to approve, you know, the extended liquor license, entertainment on the, or the extended hours for the patio, and just, you know, letting us serve the community. So, you know, any questions you guys have on anything, I'll be more than happy to answer.
No, thank you. What Ruben didn't mention is he wants to go in the Old Cool River location. That's where his restaurant would be. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you.
Okay, John, is it Hanley? Sorry, I'm pretty good at butchering names.
Hi, my name's John Hanley, 8540 Gulfview, Orland Park, Illinois. Actually, I thought I was signing into the meeting. I didn't know I was coming up here to talk. But anyway, Scott, my son, is one of the candidates for living in the house for Trinity, and he's 28 years old. He has Down syndrome. Very similar to the other people that you've heard. He works during the day. He takes care of himself. He also, is in Special Olympics. Very active. And as far as my wife and I are concerned, this is an opportunity for us, not knowing that how long we're going to live. And he's getting older, we're getting older. This is an opportunity for him to actually get in with a group of people that he are his peers. They get along well, and if something does happen to us, the state basically can take him over, and he could go anywhere. His brother and sister may never see him again. So this is an opportunity for him to get actually in a good environment. Without this, who knows where he's going to end up as we get older. So would appreciate you really taking this into consideration in your thinking. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. JOLYNBUHHU something? Sorry about that.
Jolynn Boltice, 17713 Crystal Lake Drive, Homer Glen. At our last meeting, we were asked why no pictures, so I would like to, please.
Sure.
This is the home at 104th Street. This is the home at North Cedar. And these are our homes. In addition, this is a worksheet that we drew up on the 184th Street home. I would like to speak on two issues. First, the two homes that are closest to our neighborhood on Crystal Lake Estates are the 184th Street home and the house on Cedar. Mike Sealing of Trinity stated at the Planning and Zoning meeting that the care of the facility is given to the residents and the caretakers. We understand in this case it will be for 20-something males and a caretaker with the equivalency of a high school diploma. And a lot of these kids apparently are right out of high school, understanding that they have to have training. I don't understand how they can possibly maintain a 3,000 square foot home. My children are all 20-something also. And when we are not home, they don't adequately take care of what we would like to expect for them to maintain our homes. Mike Sealing also said that groups are managed or directed in zones. Therefore, the people who are responsible for the maintaining and non-maintaining of these two homes that we're presenting are likely to be the same ones that are going to be taking care of the home in our neighborhood. In our opinions, these homes are not maintained anywhere near the caliber of what our neighborhood maintains. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And we didn't comment. Linda Borum is a licensed appraiser in Orland Park. She stated that a house cannot be appraised lower because it is next to a group home. However, in deciding the appraisal number from the appraisal range that they give at the end of the appraisal, a house next to a poorly maintained home will be given the lowest number of the range every time. Please look again at these homes. They are poorly maintained. Also, I submitted handouts. The handouts are on the 184th Street home specifically. Mike Sealing also stated that the group homes on their watch have 24/7 supervision. So we tested it with the 184th Street home because it's closest to our home. And we know that this is not true on a daily basis. 4 residents logged drive-bys to the 184th Street home, And when there were caretakers' cars present, and we pulled up into the driveway so we could make sure that we were being accurate, there's a 4-day gap between the Thursday AM viewing of the white SUV and the next car that was seen there. And being that we had snow, it was very easy to be able to tell that there had not been another vehicle in that driveway besides our pulling in. So we can confirm that based on the weather. We listened to the stories last week, and we know that the 184th Street homeowners have problems with their group home neighbors. They are our best case study, and they have failed. They cannot maintain a $175,000 home. In that case, we cannot expect them to maintain a $500,000 home. Under the Homer Glen Ordinance of Purpose and Intent, it says that the village is to K, prohibit the intrusion of incompatible uses into residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, recreational, and other necessary natural and man-made areas. And also M, to preserve the values of the property throughout the village and to protect the character and stability of residential, business, and industrial areas. Please, please, please defend our rights to our neighborhood and vote no.
Thank you. The next speaker would be Sue Vitello.
I'm sorry, I signed both.
My handwriting is terrible.
My father said I should have been a doctor. I just thought that. There's a saying in the military, not on my watch. And I say this for two reasons. First, you as individuals that are elected by the people of this village have an obligation to represent and protect the interests of the homeowners of Homer Glen. You should not be making your decisions based on the fear that has been placed in you via the threat of a lawsuit. You were elected to represent the interests of the homeowners, not a business that is seeking its own best interest. The second reason why I say not on my watch is because if you, as elected officials, will not take a stand, then it is incumbent upon us to take a stand against a business that states one thing to get their agenda passed and then does not follow through with what they have projected or promised. We are not opposing a group home based on the residents or their disabilities. That would be prejudicial. No. We object and oppose a business that by its own record will not and does not abide by the requirements that are imposed by a special use permit, specifically maintaining the quality of the neighborhood as residential and its appearance. Last week, Mike from Trinity testified that there would be no more than 4 residents in this home. However, in the reports filed by the Illinois Guardianship and Advocacy Commission on investigations into violations of the Trinity homes, specifically in report 10-040-9011, that Trinity operates 15 community integrated living arrangements, otherwise known as CELA, in Joliet alone. In 15 homes, there are 94 residents. That is in excess of 6 per home. When the neighbors in Mokina were interviewed, they were told originally that the group home would have only 4 residents. That was in 1995. It has often had 6 living in it. Who is to say that that will not happen here? While these reports by the Illinois Guardian Commission on Trinity violations deal with health and safety, I will only use them as an example. Routinely throughout the reports, it is implicit findings that the staff was not on location. There were no monitoring of the individuals, which resulted in numerous reports of arguments and injuries between residents living in the homes, including 1 death. If, as Mike said last week, that there was staff always present on the site, then it is my belief that this would not have happened. In case number 11-090-9008, a decision that was reached in 2012, a Peoria case, the findings were inadequate staff training, and the policies regarding this home were inadequate. The findings were that Trinity accepts aggressive and violent residents to the program, and that they are often relocated from home to home. And in this case, one resident was beaten to death by another resident of the home. I ask you, where was the staff in this home? These are not things that are rumors. These are actual facts that I took from these cases. Trinity is a business with an agenda. They are the largest CELA provider in Illinois, and according to these same reports, 50% of the residents are duly diagnosed with developmental disabilities and mental illnesses, and the other 50% are mental health diagnosis, or as it was stated by Trinity staff member in these reports, challenging behaviors. Now I ask you, if Trinity has stated that there is adequate staffing, but our investigations have found otherwise, what makes any of us believe that they will maintain the property in the residential setting as required? Last week, we provided information that the Trinity homes are not well maintained, and they become a blight on the neighborhood. Yet that was refuted by Mike with promises that the homes are maintained. This is a residential neighborhood, and any business that may be run out of a home are not noticeable. They are not evident, and they are not devaluing the surrounding homes. Trinity is a business, and by the evidence we present shows that they do not maintain their homes, and that does devalue the surrounding properties. It is incumbent upon you to investigate the evidence that we present, and it is up to Trinity to prove and present that their homes will not be a burden to this neighborhood before you vote.
Thank you. Okay, the next speaker would be, I think it's Diane Kaluzawicki? Can you tell me your name?
Ms. Wiki.
Ms. Wicki. Okay. Hey, hey. Anthony Cook?
Anthony Cook, 17421 Crystal Lake Drive, Homer, Glen. Some of the residents, including myself, have already provided the village trustees with a voluminous amount of information in support of our opposition to granting Trinity Services the special use permit. However, the whole story has not been told. Many residents have invested a tremendous amount of time and effort to research this issue, and it has been quite time-consuming. Trinity's comments so far have focused exclusively on the developmentally disabled. Now, I have to say I am deeply offended that our entire group in opposition was characterized as being discriminatory of developmentally disabled adults. And I do not appreciate the veiled threats that were made towards not only our group in opposition, but the direct threats of legal action directed towards the board by one speaker for the Trinity group. I want to stress to the board that the residents' issue is not with, and never has been, with those that are in need of special services. Our issue is with Trinity Services, Inc. Mind you, this is a company, don't let the nonprofit status fool you, that purchased this home before even knowing whether or not the special use permit would be approved. Trinity Services did not even have the common courtesy to contact village officials beforehand to explain their intentions or to even explain what their organization was about. Trinity had no idea before purchasing the home whether or not there would be substantial opposition from current residents or if the group home would be a good fit for the neighborhood. Nowhere on Trinity's website does it even briefly mention Trinity's commitment to being a responsible neighbor or to striving to blend into the neighborhood or maintaining any stability in the neighborhood. As far as supervision of the group home is concerned, I call to your attention the Human Rights Authority complaint that I emailed all of you questioning Trinity's supervision of a particular group home, in addition to the training of the staff, where one resident, in quotation, beat to death another resident. That's Human Rights Authority language. It documents Trinity's methods of operation and management, and it really gives you a disturbing picture of their true corporate culture. I also call to your attention the court docket record I emailed you detailing a wrongful death lawsuit filed against Trinity Services in 2012, which is still pending. And we have provided you with emails documenting our interviews with neighbors of group homes, some of who have found Trinity unconcerned, unresponsive to their complaints, and their supervision of residents inconsistent and sometimes even non-existent. And in one instance, the neighbors had to call the police because a fight broke out on the front lawn between residents of 2 group homes. I believe we have given you more than enough evidence to support our contention that Trinity Services has not been a good steward of many of their group homes, that their management of these group homes has been lax, inconsistent, and in some cases downright negligible. Members of the village board, as a public entity, liability cannot be, as a public entity, cannot be zero. You have to take some risks sometimes. I believe Trinity's methods for citing group homes are disturbingly opaque and secretive, and that we have raised more than enough doubt and more than enough questions to deny the special use permit. In our view, approval of the special use permit would clearly be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare of our community, and specifically that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Next speaker would be Yeo Sidan. Did I have that right? I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
My name is Yael Sedone, and I live at 17421 Crystal Lake Drive in Homer Glen. And those of you that were here for the last meeting, you probably remember my face. I think that we need to start out by talking about this misconception that's being carried through about the residents on Crystal Lake Drive and this subdivision as being prejudiced or hateful, as having some sort of negative feelings regarding developing the disabled. And this couldn't be farther than the truth. In fact, I've gotten to know my neighbors so much better in the past few weeks and found out that many do have family members who have developmental disabilities. Some work with children or adults with developmental disabilities. This is a very diverse group, but it's not a prejudiced group at all. Our opposition is not with a group home, and it's not with Joey, and not Brendan, and not, I'm sorry, but I don't remember the last boy's name, or the families. Our opposition is towards Trinity as a corporation coming into our subdivision, coming into Homer Glen, and setting up shop. Trinity Corporation is under legal obligation to comply with all 10 of your, Homer Glen's, requirements for the special use permit. Not 1, not 2, not 3, and we'll let the 10th go, but all 10 of them. Trinity shouldn't just be able to march right up and set up a branch of themselves and shield themselves from scrutiny behind the Fair Housing Act, because that's really what's happening. It's a little bit of a dog and pony show. Look at these children, look at these young men, okay? And don't look at us at all. Under federal statutes, the village is required to make reasonable accommodations for the siting of a group home. I read more case law and more legal language than I think I've ever wanted to regarding all of this. But making reasonable accommodation is not the same as putting blinders on and disregarding Trinity's questionable conduct. Again, what we're focusing on is how Trinity has conducted themselves as a business in the past several decades, and specifically towards our nearby neighbors in Mokina and Lockport. I appeal to the board to insist on full disclosure of the Trinity Corporation and let the powers that be conduct a full investigation to Trinity's staffing, supervision, management, their complaint reports, okay, and also their finances. Because, quite honestly, their finances come from federal, state, local support, donations, okay, and the more we've looked into Trinity as a corporation and their conduct, the way they staff, how they train their staff or do not train their staff, the scarier the picture got. And so I'm asking you, okay, to protect us against this, not against a group home, not the siting of a group home, just this particular corporation coming in. I think that they really do need to be investigated. I think that they really do need to have full disclosure and not just create this kind of staged show in which they bring you into a Trinity home that the beds are made, The staff is, well, not the original staff, okay, and they're going to show you what they want you to see. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker would be Jane, 13950 South Golden Oak. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't read your, the next one would be 17859 Crystal Lake Drive. Kevin? Let me take a guess at the last name. Is it Wilmer?
Williamson. I just
Yep,
bad.
okay.
I should have been a doctor. I can't read writing. First of all, you know, Trinity is the issue. It's not Brandon. It's not Joe. It's not Eileen. I respect you and your kids. You've clearly been a great mother to Joe. It's against Trinity. Another group home that came in, that might come into Homer Glen, I wouldn't have a problem with it if they were stand-ups. But I don't believe that Trinity is a stand-up organization. You know, they represent the disabled, but I don't think that they do their part on what taxpayers are paying them to do. You know, it's not the disabled, it's the organization that runs the home. Trinity is the issue. If they really had the 24-hour supervision, you know, that would be great. I'd feel, you know, safe. I'd know that the kids and the disabled kids, adults that are in the home would feel, I know that they would, I apologize, a little nervous, but I know that they would be safe. But when you have a supervisor that's living in the home, that's an independent living counselor, and the only requirements to be an ILC is to be 21 years old, have a GED, be a high school graduate, and have only 80 hours of training, that, in my determination, isn't good enough. It meets state requirements, however, it doesn't exceed any of those. You take an ILC and you get what you pay for. Their pay to their ILCs that have GEDs for education is $8.35 an hour. The CEO, Art, here has worked for them for 26 years. He made $166,000 last year. And Mike over here, $129,550. And then they put somebody in charge of 4 adult, developmentally disabled adults that makes $8.35 an hour with 80 hours of training. That is an issue. I run a business. I pay more per hour for people that sit on a phone and talk all day. That's all they do. They pick up the phone and talk. And some of those people that I pay $12, $13 an hour, 80 hours of training, $8.35 an hour, it doesn't add up. And then on top of that, they've got to maintain medical schedules, clean homes, drive them places, and also deal with the physical behavior impairments that they have. Joe, Brandon, great kids. What about the kids that go into the home that had a dysfunctional family? What about the kids that possibly were sexually assaulted as children or were beaten? What about those kids? They meet the requirements to go into the homes. And then you have somebody that's watching these adults, these grown men, that make $8.35 an hour. So my question is, you know, Trinity Services, does that meet the expectations and practices of what you guys look for a business coming into Homer Glen? I don't think so. Thanks.
Thank you. The next speaker would be Gregory from 17451 Crystal Lake Drive.
Hi, my name is Greg Verhook. I live at 17451 Crystal Lake Drive. I just wanted to speak. My beef isn't with the gentlemen that are coming into the house. My beef is with Trinity. I do believe that Trinity would not be a good owner of the building. I'm sorry, I'm very nervous. And I believe that instead of being an asset to our little community, they would hurt our community because they wouldn't take care properly of the property in question. All of us have worked very, very hard to get our houses. We work very hard to maintain our houses. There's a lot of responsibilities with our houses. Everything's on well and septic. The wells and septic can go out at any time. And I would just be afraid that Trinity wouldn't take care of the house, wouldn't be on top of things and fix them right away and cause a problem for everybody all around. And the board's responsibility, according to the charter that we have, is to also not only protect those citizens who may have issues, but also the residents of the community where we live. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker would be Brent Porfilio.
Very good, very good.
All right, I got one right.
Brent Porfilio, 17657 Waters Court. I'm in Lockport. So why is somebody from Lockport here? A lot of the parents here were special needs kids hang around with my son, Christian, who's 19, and I know a lot of them. And I just heard about this yesterday. I didn't prepare a speech or anything else like that, but I've been listening to people saying, okay, well, I don't have a problem with the group home, but it's Trinity, it's Trinity. I think you guys are hiding behind that. In my opinion, is it a business? Of course it's a business, but first of all, do you know Illinois is the worst state in the country for funding for special needs? So guess what that means? Parents got to come up with all the money to pay for the group home. And what do? They shop around, they try to get the best deal, right? They try to get the best deal, right? Okay, so the best deal right now is Trinity. And as far as I know, Trinity meets the state requirements, right? I know they might be low with 80 hours, but that's a state requirement. So if you meet the state requirement, what's the next problem? Maintenance of the yard, cutting the grass, trimming the bushes, things like that. In my opinion, if Trinity can't do it, you know, if that's an ordinance in Homer Glen, then why can't you come down on Trinity and say, okay, if you don't do it, we're going to fine you? Or how about giving them a 1-year probation? Give them the house for a year. If they screw up, then kick them out. Did anybody ever think about doing that? These 4 kids that are in this house, where are they going to go? If this is setting a precedent is what the problem is. If this happens on, is it Crystal Lake Drive? What happens if they try to do it on the other side of Homer Glen? The residents are going to come back and say, well, we stopped it once, we're going to stop it again with the same reasoning. That's a big problem. And I've been on the Planning Commission in Lockport for 7 years. We've never, ever had a problem with getting the group home passed on the zoning board. We've never had a problem with complaints. And I know you've done your research, and there's people that were beating other people up and things like that, but I didn't meet the 4 parents of the kids that are going in the home, but have you talked to the kids? And are they going to be the type of kids that are going to do this kind of thing? And did you interview the supervisor that's going to be living in the home and ask them about, okay, well, is this the wrong person for the job? $8.35 an hour, well, that's what they pay. That's all the parents can afford. And what happens when the parents pass? Who's going to pay for the kid? There's a trust set up. How much money is in the trust? You going to pay a guy $30 an hour to live in the house? If you have the money, that's great, you can do it. But if you don't, what's the kid going to do? The state doesn't have homes set up for these kids. They have to go in the residential area. Trinity has over 100 group homes in the region. 50 are within 5 towns of Homer Glen. There's 27 in Joliet, 27, I heard 15 earlier. There's 3 in Lockport. I think there's 8 in Crest Hill. There's 9, I think, in New Lenox. Did anybody go to the city councils in those towns and ask if there was problems when they did their research? I don't know if they did, but in Lockport, we never had an issue. You can't keep pigeonholing these kids in every town saying, okay, it's like a snowball going downhill. They had problems over here, so guess what? In Homer Glen, they're automatically going to have the same problems. That's a dangerous precedent to say. I don't think you're giving the kids a fair handshake, in my opinion. And my son's 19. In 3 years, he's going to be in a group home. And I'd like it to be in Lockport, but if not, it'd be nice to come to Homer as well, because I'm paying taxes to Homer. But if I'm going to run on this kind of problem, I might not do that. But on behalf of the 4 kids in this room that are trying to get in this group home, I ask you to be on their side instead of the maintenance side, something that can be easily fixable. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Okay, Frank, what were you going to speak on?
2 things. What?
Is one of them related to this?
No, neither one's related.
Okay, go right ahead then.
Okay, Jim, about 3.
Okay, Frank.
How do you work this thing? You don't have to push any buttons. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Frank Bujan, 131 Hidden Valley Drive. I have 2 suggestions for the village. First one is the Lockport Athletic Facility. I don't think this is publicized enough that we have access to it, but I play a lot of tennis, and you can only use the courts between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. at $12 an hour. If you're non-resident, you got to pay $36 an hour. My suggestion, and I would work on both of these projects with village personnel without charging anything, because I am a CPA. But anyway, what I'm saying, we learn from history, I think. And Homewood Flossmoor has had a facility for 40 years, Homewood and Flossmoor together. And I don't know about the taxing bodies, but they have 12 or 15 courts. They're always used. It would bring more revenue into Lockport. It would benefit. We're never going to build a facility here for $10 million. I'd vote against it. But why not use that one? Partner up with Lockport, and then the facilities are all open to both of us. It's a win-win situation. Like I said, I'd work on that with some of the trustees if I was allowed to. The second thing is the Kmart update, 159th and Bell. That's a disaster. I know Eddie Lambert from Sears owns it. And the thing, this is once again going back in history. In 1980, Ingersoll Rand went out of business, or they got rid of their facility in Harvard. What they turned it into was an entrepreneurial section. We need something like that today. The government, both federal and state, will give money to do something like that. And I work with people in Harvey that had this situation. So instead of just turning into another big box store, it would help the unemployment situation. We're, I think, the 3rd worst state in the union. You know, we've lost manufacturing the last, when Reagan was in, he farmed millions of jobs overseas. And now, you know, now they're pushing buy America, don't buy in China and that. It's kind of a little late, you know, after we have all these people unemployed. I've been unemployed my life 26 weeks. That's all you used to get paid. Now I get paid 2 years. It's stupid. And we as taxpayers, there's no incentive for people. But anyway, I'd like to follow up on that. Instead of turning into another big box stores, we got enough of those. These places could still, the people that spend money on sales tax, real estate taxes, I don't know what they cost, but it would be probably public and privately financed. I don't like something just publicly, because I think you need a watchdog all the time. And that's what I do in my profession, a watchdog. I'm an auditor. I trust people, but I want to verify all the time. And I think that's what, but I think that would be a good facility use for it. I don't think you even have any offers, because I asked 6 months ago, and Mayor Daley told me 6, but it's a big secret. I can call up tomorrow and see what they're asking for it. I don't think you've had one person put a penny down as an advance on it. And if that place stays open, desolate another 3 years, I don't know if Lambert's paying the real estate taxes or not. I don't care if he is, because it's not good for the village. I live across the street. It looks like hell. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Hell, looks like heck.
Let me put it this way. Sears has a big problem, and it isn't only in Homer Glen. We have a professional economic development person that tries to market that property. She's an on-staff person every day of the week. I've met with the Marianos to the A's to Z's for that property, okay? I think you should talk to some of your money people. Bring them over and I'll set them up. All right, Frank. All right. All right, and finally we have Dave Freedy.
Good evening. My name is Dave Freedy. I live at 12749 Oak Valley Trail. My concerns tonight center around the business that's moving into the Cool River facility. Nothing against the business. I hope he succeeds and does well. But I read in the Homer Horizon that there might be outdoor music allowed. I live in the back end of Oak Valley, and I can tell you we hear everything from 159th Street. Some of that is just tough luck. But we hear the car wash, we hear the traffic, we hear all of it. So late night music would probably not be too well received, and so I'm concerned about that, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, that concludes public comment tonight. The next items on the agenda are legislation and action items. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-006006, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a special use to permit the sale of alcoholic beverages, a special use to permit outdoor seating associated with a permitted restaurant, and a special use to permit hours of operation outside the normal hours of the property commonly known as 12622 West 159th Street, Homer, Glen, Illinois, Ruby Adabi, Inc.
So moved.
First by trustee Sabo.
Second.
Second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, trustee Sabo.
Mr. Freedy just brought something to our attention, and this is not the first time for this property, this location, that outdoor music or noise from that particular business was discussed. It was discussed with Cool River, not Cool River, it was discussed with the first time, and I can't remember the name of the business that first went in there. Huh? Do you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So they were taught, the discussion had to do with decibels. Where does this music, where does this carry? Which direction does it go to? And so there's residents across the street. It closes Oak Valley. And I don't know if, we have so many items here pertaining to this location that I don't know if this is the place to do it, but I would consider that outdoor music not be allowed after a certain time. And considering music inside is okay, because I know they want entertainment. It sounds like a very nice place. They're going to really improve the location. And so I think consideration should be given, whatever item number it is, after a certain time in the evening, not to have music in the outdoor seating area.
So, Mayor, I would just say that this would be the item. If you were going to make that restriction, this would be the one to do it. I know that I was at the Planning Commission meeting when it was discussed. They did discuss this, and for quite some time, actually. The petitioner went on record in saying that there would never be any outdoor amplified music outside the facility, like bands and things of that nature. I think the Planning Commission, knowing that the existing business had outdoor music that was active, I mean, I actually have been sitting outside at that business with music going on. Knowing that that was already in place and that the village staff had not received any complaints about that over time, at least for the past couple of years, I think the Plan Commission decided to take a pass on restricting any kind, a time period for music. The petitioner is here. The petitioner may want to go on record about what his intention is with that music. I don't know if you want to ask him.
My understanding, Margaret, is that I've been up there before to have to slap a few hands. They have speakers attached to the wall there, and they play music as maybe people are playing the what do you call that? The
typical CD music. That's what I heard.
Beanbags. That's it. Yeah. Or having a hamburger sitting outside. I don't recall, and I live right down the street up on Hadley Road, I don't recall live bands being out there. So if you're thinking live bands wherever you're at there, Ruben, that's not going to work.
You can't fit live bands up there.
Okay, so what you're talking about is you're just talking about the.
The most you have is a mariachi, maybe, and they're not that loud.
Okay. All right, well, I think there's an easy way to take care of that, and we do have, we do have code enforcers, we do have a police department that if the noise gets too loud, and Dave, you know who to call, we'll get it under control.
But I know that Dave lives on the last street in Oak Valley, so it's traveling quite a distance.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, and how I look at this, it sounds as though, Ruben, sir, it's more ethnic music inside for atmosphere, live music inside, atmospheric music inside with a live band, mariachis you mentioned. Yeah, and I believe after that it becomes code enforcement issue, if there is an issue after that.
Let me tell you, we've had, not to bash the guys that ran Cool River, but there were more complaints about what went on in there than I think you're ever going to see with Reuben. So we'll monitor it. We'll keep it under wraps. Okay, we had a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo? Aye. Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
This would be H2.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be H3. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-008, an ordinance assigning an available Class B liquor license restaurant bar to Ruben L. Pazamino, DBA Ruby Agave, Inc., located at 12622 West 159th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois?
So moved.
First by Trustee Suisse.
Second.
Second by Trustee Kajanis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo? Aye.
Motion carries. This would be H4. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-009, an ordinance amending section 13 of ordinance number 01-022, providing for the control of alcoholic liquor within the village of Homer Glen? It is understood that the number of Class B liquor license restaurant bars will decrease from 14 to 13 within the village of Homer Glen, effectively February 12, 2014.
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa,
Aye, second.
second by Trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be H5. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 14-005, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of a special use to permit a small group home for the property commonly known as 17633 South Crystal Lake Drive, Homer Glen, Illinois, Trinity Services, Inc. It is understood that this approval is a condition upon the following. The residents will have at least one trained staff member on site 24 hours each day. 2, the occupancy of the residency will be limited to 4 residents. 3, prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy, the residency must be compliant with all building and fire codes, including, but not limited to, all fire suppression and fire alarm improvements as required by the Homer Township Fire Protection District. 4, the residence shall be owned and operated by Trinity Services, Inc. 5, Trinity Services, Inc. shall maintain the license within the State of Illinois Department of Human Services and shall provide a copy of said license to the Village of Homer Glen. And 6, Trinity Service, Inc. shall maintain compliance with all group home regulations as set forth in Section 8.20 of the Village's zoning ordinance.
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa. Second by Trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
You know what, before I open it up to trustees, I just want to say, I think Brent really hit it on the head as far as, how you can monitor this. This is a special use permit. If these people don't adhere to what they've promised and what we've asked them to do, that special use permit can be revoked. That is your hammer in this situation. They are licensed by the state. We do not control their license through the state. And that's about all I have to say about it. Trustee Suisse?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a few comments. I would like to bring up some reasonable conditions related to the SUP and those that the residents have previously brought up, so that if this moves forward, Trinity can demonstrate in a positive way of being a good neighbor. And some of these conditions or comments that I had would be, well, again, shall maintain building and property in compliance with all the village building and property maintenance codes. Since the HOA does not allow for border fencing, use more trees, plants for a buffer. Another comment I have would be friends of caregivers should not be allowed to associate with the caregivers on duty so that time is not taken away from interacting with the home's residents. Another comment was issues or concerns that are reported to Trinity should be handled in a timely manner, and they should also be reported to the village for follow-up. One last comment was that this is, I would like maybe Mr. Dijkstra to take a look at this chart of that was just passed out, and maybe he can explain if they were supposed to be monitored, if this is true, that there was days gone by with nobody there during the day.
You can take a look at it if you want. Here you go, Art. You want to take a look? I can tell you that as far as the condition of the home, that can be monitored by our simple zoning ordinances. Property management company and our zoning ordinances.
Mm-hmm.
And on that subject, we do kind of monitor that through our code enforcement on even bankrupt or foreclosed houses in our community, that our code enforcement does monitor that with the property owner when that does take place.
I can definitely say this, that as the mayor of the community, the pictures of the condition of some of those homes are not the same type of homes that are in that neighborhood. So that is comparing apples to oranges. But as the mayor, I would never let this thing get out of control. And like I said before, the answer to the puzzle is if they don't live up to what they say they're going to live up to, I will yank that special use permit so fast, you'll take a hit on that house like you've never seen before. So does anybody have any questions for Art?
Just comment on this. I honestly don't know firsthand, but I don't know if this was during the period of a major snowfall, but I know we did close a few houses, and I agreed with some people because we were having some problems just in terms of people being able to get to work. So I don't know. I can research that and give someone a call or email you. But our policy absolutely is to have somebody on duty 24 hours a day. Now, the individuals that are gone out of the house, we may not have a staff member in the house, but when the people are present, staff have to be present.
Gotcha. Okay, Trustee Casa?
Mr. Mayor, yes, just again, a point for clarification, because in our ordinance, and maybe legal counsel can help me with this, it specifically says that a trained staff member on site 24 hours each day. And as Mr. Dijkstra had just mentioned, and in visiting Trinity Homes and going to Trinity and talking to Mike there, is that once the residents go to work, that you won't have a staff person sitting there doing nothing. Exactly. So I just want to make sure in the body of our ordinance, do we need to reword that, Mark, or are we okay by saying this?
I think we're okay where we're at, and but as the mayor pointed out earlier, this is really all up to the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois has issued a license. They set the licensing standards for these businesses. So we don't have the village doesn't have the jurisdiction to decide what the training requirements are for these individuals, what the staffing requirements are. They never got a problem with that. Take it up with the state representative or state senator, some of whom sit on the committee, none of them from right here, but many of the people that are on the commission, that are on the Illinois Guardianship and Advocacy Commission, that issued the report that was sent to you and that was discussed at the meeting tonight are people that are in the state legislature, so they should be taking that up with them.
Okay, so again, if I can, just for point of clarification, point of record then we okay to assume that if there's no resident at the home for
Right.
X hours, that a staff person would not be there during those hours?
That's
We okay?
correct, right.
Okay.
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 Okay, and the public comments closed, Frank. You had your chance. Yeah, you can bring that up. One other thing for Art is that I'm sure if this passes, he's very aware that you have quite a few concerned residents here with quite a bit of money in their homes. They don't want to see what they saw in those pictures, and we as trustees, if we pass it, would never let it get there, and we would have a big problem with you. Okay. Any further questions for Art?
Yes.
Trustee Sabo.
I'm very pleased that those people who live in Crystal Lake Estates did separate two things. The people that live there and Trinity Services. I mean, their complaints were about Trinity. They're not discriminating against the individuals that would live there at any time. That has truly been made clear. But the neighbors are stating that they should also have an equal opportunity to enjoy their home and property as well. And my concern is with some of the issues that were brought up about lawsuits. Not only the one tonight about the wrongful death, and I don't know if that's ongoing or that has been resolved, but don't understand how something like that could have happened when there were supposed to be supervision. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned for the young men that are going to be living in that home. And Trustee Suisse has brought up some ideas. I don't know if she mentioned buffering, maybe more landscape buffering. Also, I'm bringing up...
Trustee Sabo, just to clarify the point here, if you're discussing buffering and what have you, that goes back then to the HOA. The HOA would be the people that would approve whatever type of fencing or adding trees. They can't just simply go out there and do whatever they want. This would go back to the HOA.
No, I'm talking about condition that we would place on there if there wasn't enough buffering. I mean, they're concerned about their homeowners' privacy. I'm looking at this on both sides. So another condition.
Yeah, I just don't see it as we have the authority to do that.
Oh, we can ask that it can be done.
And I think that's what you're doing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then the other thing is, wonder, like contractors have to register with Homer Glen, if then we know who the service providers are in there, that's something that is something to consider. And if there are any complaints, and I'm supporting what the mayor has said, if anything is going wrong, that special use permit would be pulled. But I think we want to know if there are any complaints or concerns that are being communicated to Trinity, that Homer Glen also knows what those complaints are. And so that we can monitor this carefully. And then whatever is investigated, true, false, in between or whatever, that these issues, if there are any, are handled in a timely manner. So those are some of the conditions. I'm also concerned, I live on well and septic. I don't know what lot this is, so some of them require a mechanical system and some of them require a tank and trenching. I think that both can have issues, and so I don't know which one this is for this house. So do any of us know? Does Aaron know?
What does it matter?
Well, it does matter, because what matters is that the health department with the mechanical system, monitors twice a year, every 6 months. If there are problems, they monitor more closely than that. If they do not monitor, if it is just a tank and a trench. And so I think that that is one of the conditions that we should have in there, that we should know that this is, that the septic is working properly. This is a big concern.
Here, I'm going to try to get this real clear for you. We are not the licensed or the people that license these people that run their business for handicapped children. As far as going and saying, you know, we need to know, we need to add additional times we check their septic system or tank or whatever, well then you're going to have to do that to everybody in Homer Glen. I mean, this isn't, you can't just put specific regulations on them and say the state is the licensing body. I'm sure the neighbors, if they see some standing water or some type of smell emanating from the grounds, you know, when you make a complaint to the Illinois Health Department, please CC us so we know exactly what's going on if this passes. But we can't have a separate set of rules for these guys that have purchased a residential house in a residential neighborhood for handicapped children and have a whole separate set of rules for people that aren't handicapped. It doesn't work that way.
Well, you know what, we've heard the residents, they've done their homework. We don't know how, you know, why there weren't people here. Maybe there wasn't anyone in residence because of the snow. And I would like to think that Trinity did have supervision when there were people there, because that's what they say. But we're also saying that the group home can have 4. We're putting that imposition on them. I'm sure that they would like to have more than that, because 4 is a smaller number than the homes that I toured.
Yeah, but
So-
they're getting,
Mr. Mayor, for clarification, I thought Trustee was talking about well and septic. Now we're talking about how many people are in the home. I'm just a little confused here.
Well,
It
when I'm interrupted, that's what happens.
No,
I have to address the person that has interrupted me.
Let's get this back to order here, okay? To clarify what your concern is, they are applying for a special use permit for 4 individuals in that home. That's it. If they want to increase that number from 4 to whatever the state allows them to do under state law, then they would have to come back and get an additional special use permit.
Yes, that's true.
So there's your checks and balance on how many people are actually going to live in this
Well,
house.
Trustee
Costa has something?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, just, and I think most of us, the trustees, and I know I saw the mayor there and staff were at the Plan Commission meeting, and we did hear a lot of the concerns of the residents and, of course, of the folks, the families of the gentlemen that are going to live in that residency. Tonight, it seemed like it switched all to going against Trinity and not the residents or the actual group home itself. My question is this: we've been given a lot of emails in the past 2 or 3 weeks from a lot of residents and legal counsel, and I tried to read every single thing I could. And if I had a question about it, I went back to legal counsel and asked his opinion and to let me know exactly if I was interpreting it properly. You know, the residents bring up a lot that, you know, something about Trinity's, I don't want to say their integrity, but the way they run their business. Again, as trustees here, we're here to either approve or disapprove or to deny a special use permit for something that is allowed in our community. And I am now going to rely on legal counsel and ask him one question, is there has been a lot of information given to us in the past few days, especially today. Is there anything that you see that legally would warrant us to deny a special use permit for Trinity Homes in this neighborhood?
No. And the reason for that is because Trinity Services is licensed by the state of Illinois. That's their job. That's the state's job. They have a license. The Federal Fair Housing Act, like it or not, requires units of government like you to provide reasonable accommodations for entities like group homes. Your zoning ordinance contemplates that group homes are going to be a special use in this type of a neighborhood. So, like it or not, you really don't have a choice if they've met all the conditions of the application. You told them you only wanted 4 people in the house. They said that's fine. Now, the rest of the things that have, that have been discussed tonight, code compliance, you have a building code. We routinely have people who are cited for violating your building code on the administrative adjudication call. If that doesn't solve the problem, then we take them to file a lawsuit out in the Circuit Court of Will County to force them to do that. So, as long as they're licensed by the state of Illinois, and they're meeting all the requirements, they're meeting the standards, or that they're going to do the things that they said they're going to do, I don't think you have any choice.
I'd just like to thank all the trustees for the time they took on this issue. This has been a big issue. I actually met with John and Jerry at my home, the head of your homeowners association. I put the village attorney on the speakerphone and allowed them to ask all their questions as we discussed them to the village attorney. These trustees have gone to the homes. These trustees have read all your emails. So with that final statement, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I did have a question for the attorney.
I'm calling for a vote.
Well, I had a question for the attorney. I think it's important.
Go right ahead then.
Okay. Trustee Suisse has brought up some conditions. I'm asking the legal counsel, can we put those conditions on this property?
Well, the code compliance is already part of it.
Okay.
So that's not an issue. I don't see, if you want my honest, you want a candid opinion, I don't see how you can require them to have tree buffers when you don't have tree buffers for anybody else. What's different about the people that are living in this house that requires you to have tree buffers? This is 4 people that are living in a house with some supervision. The fact about the friends of the caregivers not being able to visit the house, I don't think that you can enforce that. I think that that's a condition of their permit with the state. Number 4, I didn't understand, with all due respect.
Trustee Suisse, did you want to?
The issues or the concerns issues or concerns reported to Trinity need to be handled and also reported to the village so the village can follow up.
Well, and who's that requirement going to be on? Is that requirement going to be on Trinity Homes? That they're going to, that if they're reported to the state, that they're going to report that to you? Or are you asking the homeowners?
No, the homeowners association.
Well, we can't put that in an ordinance that the homeowners are ordered to report any
no,
complaints.
not ordered. Well, it's a comment.
And I would guess from the sentiment that's been expressed, that if anybody's going to be complaining to the state, you're certainly going to hear about it.
Right. Just a comment.
And like I said, the other thing is that if you do have a complaint that you're filing, if you could CC the village so that we know at the time that you're filing a complaint, we know something's going on over there, rather than finding it out after it gets kicked around downstate and through this office, that office, and the next office. If it's a true violation of our codes, we can help you out with that situation if this passes. So,
Can I just make one comment, sir? And that is with respect to.
no, he came up to ask us, or for us to ask him questions during the motion. That's all it was. Public comments closed. Art, we've heard enough. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sable?
Okay, I just want to qualify my vote, and that is that I still have a lot of questions. I still feel that I'm trying to support the residents and trying to support the men and gentlemen that live in the house. I just don't feel comfortable. I have to vote no.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Okay, that's that. This would be H6. Is there a motion to approve the proposal from H.R. Green in the amount of $38,959.45 for the preparation of Phase 2 engineering study for the south extension to the Village of Homer Glen's Heroes Bike Trail? It is understood that the Phase 2 engineering study cost is included in the CMAQ grant the Village of Homer Glen obtained to fund the project. It is also understood that the CMAQ grant requires an 80-20 cost sharing, with the local municipality responsible for 20% of the cost. Therefore, the village would be responsible for $7,791.89 of the Phase 2 engineering study cost.
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo.
Second.
Second by trustee Kajanis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo. Aye. Trustee Swees.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Okay, then we're going to move. The next item is executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing executive session minutes? So moved. First by trustee Costa. Second by trustee Sabo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, we're going to break for executive session. Okay, is there a motion to close executive session?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa, second by trustee Sabo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Executive session is closed. Is there a motion to approve and release the executive session minutes from April 23rd, 2013?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
I second.
Second by trustee Swees. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo. Aye. Trustee Swees.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve and not release the executive session minutes from May 14th, 2013?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa, second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo. Aye. Trustee Swees.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
First by trustee Sabo, second by trustee Costa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned.